I know I probably shouldn't be saying this, but honestly, I just ball. I skill check, look for openings, and coin flip, because I know that I am a god mechanically. Don't check my stream, please. But do check out the Discord server. Nevertheless, for you guys out there who want to climb consistently, I have now made a matchup guide for every conventional support out there. To give you all a quick overview, I made a tier list, and I will be going through every single champion on it, from one tier till the next. Starting at the top with the worst matchups, I chose to call it not fun, because I can often manage in these lanes and sometimes even stomp, but rarely is it ever fun to play. Genuinely, fuck these matchups. Then we got more champions that are not fun to play against, but they are more outplayable than the ones above. As you can see, it's mostly just tank engage supports and one speedy bomb throwing boomer. Yeah. Over to the fun but scuffed part of the list, where there's just a whole lot of mind games, honestly. Faking movement, baiting movements, you're basically just playing chicken with them, trying to figure out who's got the biggest balls. Now, the annoying but fine is a collection of champions that I honestly didn't know where to put, since I have not seen any of them in a long time. But when I think about it, Renata Glask should definitely be with the not fun but outplayable bunch. What a disgusting champion. I am very glad they stopped playing her. And the E-Girl champions are very enjoyable to play against. I would even go as far as to call them free elo, at least lane-wise. There are of course exceptions to this, like Nami Lucian is quite strong and Sona Seraphine is a disgusting dynamic that is just not playable. Senna is rather weak right now, otherwise she would be moved up to the fun but scuffed. And honestly, only Azap still plays the Odarn champion. This last one I added for fun, as it will only be possible in normal games. But yeah, don't worry, you're better.
I am better!
If you're not, then let him engage first and you win anyways. And if you lose, then it's clearly a DC gap, so don't you worry. Before I go crazy in depth on the matchups, I want to give you all some very important general info on laning. Always take control of and utilize the bushes, unless I specifically tell you not to. To do this, you'll need to buy a sweeper at the start of the game and take an aggressive hold in the bushes. When they waste their core abilities, that's your window to go in. I made a video on this exact subject if you want to learn it more in depth. It's right there up in the corner to the right. Play around the wave states, whoever has a slow pushing wave or the biggest wave has their turn to fight, and the enemy shouldn't want to fight until the wave has crashed into their tower, turning it into their slow push, giving them the minute advantage. And some lanes are unplayable. Either your ADC is a monkey, your synergy sucks, or there's just nothing you can do into this specific matchup. If the lane is unplayable, your life isn't over. You are not glued to the ADC, even though they sure as hell wish you were. Just play elsewhere. Screw your ADC. You got 3 other teammates you can play around. If you don't have impact bot anyways, there's no reason to stay. Might as well spoon feed that mid laner or jungler while tilting the enemies. Now, time to break the matrix. Even though there's not any unwinnable matchups for Pyke, there are some really fucking annoying ones. Starting off with Zyra. Fuck Zyra players. It's genuinely impossible to have fun when every time I charge up a hook, you place a plant in front of yourself. Also, I can never E in, because then you root me with your lore accurate roots, and then I'm dead because of the insane amount of damage. I am not coping, I'm not coping, I am not coping. If you ever want the chance to catch her or ADC, you need to utilize the bushes. She can't block what she cannot see coming. You can also use W to get in the face and make sure to hook as quickly as possible. When doing this, it's very important to save E for a chance to escape. She is extremely squishy, so once you catch her, she will suffer. Shaco, same principle. Literally same champion. Also, hella annoying. Because of his Q, you might want to focus the ADC, unless he uses his Q to engage, then you engage on him. And use Sweeper to clear his annoying boxes, or to find him in his Q. Either way, Sweeper is crucial. Next up is Poppy. The only Yordle so ugly, even Dantes wouldn't want to fuck her. She is tanky as hell, but somehow also out-damages you. You live in the bushes, so if she ever wards, she can instantly pin you against the wall, take half your HP alone, and then, as if that wasn't enough, you can't even escape, because she has a funny ability that denies your E. When she gets ult, she can literally perma-CC and kill you before you can move. Best advice I got is to position yourself in a way that makes it impossible for her to E you into a wall. But at the same time, the bushes are goated, so just make extra sure that they don't have vision in the bush you're in, and you can play somewhat normally. The champ I permabanned for years, the banana-loving unicorn, Soraka. You can never win a trade anymore unless you focus Soraka, because she heals her ADC like crazy, and every time you charge a poke, she can basically click on target silence you because you're slowed. You can therefore also never really E in versus her, as she can silence you and potentially even root you. The worst of it all is that you can almost never ult in the mid to late game, because she will just click ult herself whenever you do, and then you're fucked. The trick against her is to either hook from the bushes so she doesn't see it, or to W into her face, and then release your hook as fast as you can, in hopes of hooking her before she silences you. And if she's ever stupid enough to waste her E, she literally can't stop you from doing anything, so you got free reign to do whatever you'd like. Use it. A relatively new pain in the ass is Melio. Every time you charge up a hook, this piece of shit literally throws a bowling ball in your face, making the lane quite boring. He also has a shit ton of shields, free QSS for everyone, and a broken ass heal. All of this fucking up your stylish plays, ruining your executes, and worst of all, making you look like a fool. The solution is quite similar to the one with Soraka, as the problem is the same. You have to W in and try to release the hook before Melio manages to strike you down. Get it? I'm sorry, that was really bad. You can also utilize the bushes so he doesn't see the hook coming. And if he ever throws his bowling ball in the gutter, you have a big window to go in, as he can't stop you from doing anything. Lastly, we have the champion that I meet every single game in high elo when I first picked Pyke. Of course, the simping raptor. Bro has 3 dashes, 2 of them giving shields, another knocking us up. He has a heal and a charm that gives him the speed of light. In laning phase, you can never E in unless he has wasted his W. Even then, it can be scuffed because of all the shields. But you can never catch this slippery fuck, because as I mentioned, he has 3 dashes. So a Gunrakhan player blocks the hook for his AD carry and then just E's out, making my champ as useful as a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest. But yeah, I'm ranting. Just keep hooking whoever you can, preferably the AD carry, and deal the damage you can do before the Rakan either runs away or engages back on you. And if he ever wastes his W, that's your best window to go in, because he can't engage back, at least pre-6. Into all of these engaged supports, the trick is to let them engage first. This creates somewhat of a patience game in the bot lane. Depending on the situation, you either decide to disengage or to turn on the enemy AD carry. If they engage on you and you don't want to fight them, you can simply E out. As long as your pet is fine too. But if you have this little voice in your head telling you to kill, you hard commit onto the enemy AD carry, who, by the way, will be walking towards you because of their supports engage, making it very easy for you to catch them. Another thing to keep in mind is that some of these engaged supports are completely useless at level 1, but grows strong already at level 2. A good example of this is Leona, who needs both Q and E to engage on your ADC, while champions such as Blitzcrank and Nautilus will still be a threat at level 1 because of their hooks. Playing around this will make your laning easier, and a nice trick to use against these hookers is to charge up your hook, walking towards them for a second at their max range, then walking away from them so they miss their hook and then try to hook someone. Even if you don't hit anyone with your hook, they wasted theirs and your cooldown is lower than theirs. In addition to this, hook champions play around the fear of their victims, so if you walk up with a shit ton of confidence, it might actually be harder for them to hit you, as they are expecting a scared kitten, while this will literally be you.
Come on, I want you to do it, I want you to do it. Come on, hit me, come on, hit me. Come on, hit me! Ah! Hit me!
Whether it's full AP or tank Maokai, it's hella annoying. Either he floods the bushes with his tree commies, or is very annoying and permanently up in your face. Either way, he will be quite difficult to kill and still deal a nice amount of damage. The only fun part of this matchup is the fact that you can bait out his W, E away, and he'll be forced to follow you wherever you go. Especially fun if you bring him into tower. He very often also gets stunned, but not always. If he does, you can hook him even deeper. This shouldn't come as a surprise, as no matter the matchup, you should always abuse the bushes. But use the bushes. You're gonna have to take some of Maokai's tree commies for a walk at times, but that's just nice, they need the cardio. And if you realize you're kind of out of shape, and these little shits are gaining up on you, you can click W or E to show your superiority. While later in the game, you should always think if you could block the Maokai ult for someone, and be prepared to die to do so. Whether he starts the lane with his E or W, he is quite useless at level 1, not counting how tanky he is, so you can look for something here. Versus Nautilus, you can try to take control of the bushes, but if you're not that confident, it is much safer to stand behind the minions. I am personally very cocky, so I like to bait out Nautilus hooks near walls, so when he misses me, he hits a wall and lands somewhere he doesn't want to be. And from there, I can hook him even further in. He can very easily stop your hook by hooking a wall, so sometimes when I am ahead, I like to hold my hook while walking up to him, waiting for him to hook the wall, and then hook him after. That way he doesn't cancel out my hook. A small technical thing you can do, which I do every game anyways, is to take tenacity in your stat runes, as it will actually make sure you don't get CC locked against the Nautilus. Alistar is quite useless at level 1, so you should abuse that. It's very important to not stand on your ADC, as you can hit Q on the both of you. Because of his W, you can never E in unless he has used it first. If you do, he will knock you very deep in, far away from your AD carry, and then proceed to perma CC you. If you're fast enough, you can bait out his W by walking up, and then E out before he reaches you, giving you a free stun. But the gist of this matchup is to just not engage first, and not stand too much on your AD carry, and per usual, taking control of the bushes. Versus a Mumu, you should stand behind minions so he can't hit his Q on you, or in a bush that you have control over. If your ADC fails to do this and gets caught, then you follow the engage support rule, and engage on the enemy AD carry. Remember that a Mumu now has 2 charges to his Q, with a 3-second cooldown in between. So if he uses only 1 Q, there's not much time to do anything. But if he's ever stupid enough to whiff both Qs, then you got a window of opportunity. After level 6, make sure not to stand on top of your AD carry, because you never want a Mumu to get an ult off on the both of you. Blitzcrank, same principle as with the Amumu and Nautilus. Standing behind minions will deny them from playing the game, but if you don't want to play the patience game, but rather skill check inconsistently, then you can take control of the bushes and prove that you are better. Either way, once he has wasted his hook, you are free to do as you please, as he is just one big pile of metal. He is weaker than you at level 1, depending on the AD carries, growing stronger at level 2 and even stronger at 3. Sometimes you should block the hook for AD carry to save their life, it's often easier for you to get out than it is for them. Now, Rel is pretty weak level 1, especially compared to Pyke, so you should look for picks before level 2. She will almost always start W, and when she uses the W while already mounted, she is slow as fuck after. So she can never engage on you with that. If she does, you punish the shit out of her. My best advice in this matchup is to just never engage first. You'll rarely win if you do. The most you can do is to hook to be very annoying, but you can't really follow it up unless she engages first. Also, make sure not to stand too close to ADC, as all of her abilities are AoE and can hit you both. Like Rakan, Braum is a disengaged champion. Trying to engage versus him is like trying to run on ice. It's doable, but it ain't easy, and the ground can very quickly disappear from under your feet. Pair him up with an Ashe or a Lucian and you're basically doomed. I'd see what I could do in lane, look for openings on the AD carry, and if all turns to shit, I would perma roam. Next up is Zilean. Don't let this old man fool ya, he is fast as fuck and he deals damage. Quite annoying to deal with, his bombs have disgusting hitboxes and the movement speed he grants himself or his AD carry is crazy, making hooks quite difficult to hit. If you have a grasp of wave management as a concept, you can sometimes use Zilean's bombs against him. Once you've involuntarily collected the bomb, you might as well drag it into your wave, making Zilean steal some minions from his AD carry and potentially ruin their wave state. Trying to dodge his bombs as best as you can, and especially not get hit by 2 in a row, as the stun can make you lose a ton of HP. It's also not a good idea to be on your ADC, as that makes it easier for him to hit his bombs on either of you and can lead to him stunning you both. You should never E in any matchup unless you know for a fact that you don't need an escape or if you're fine with dying. This applies into this matchup as well, since Zilean's slow and potential stun can be quite punishing. And since his ult is a Guardian Angel with 10 seconds cooldown, again I'm coping, you should wait it out before killing. If you play with Project, you can even use Control 3 in an attempt to bait out his ult, as the animation resembles your ult. Over to the female twisters, the slutty tornado, Janna. She has a ton of movement speed, making it difficult to hit anything. She also has her disengage ability for whenever you want to charge a hook or E in, being her Q. And if you ever fuck up, she will slow you down to hell with her W and punish you with her ADC. Her ultimate is also extremely annoying as it can completely throw you off when trying to execute someone. But once you finally catch her, she pops quite quickly and everything feels great again. And you do this by taking control of the bushes, so she doesn't see it when you charge up your hook. When playing against Morgana with her annoying ass back shield, you have to pull up some Jedi mind tricks. It's actually quite simple. You charge up your hook and walk towards the enemy ADC, then, while facing towards the enemy ADC, you hook the Morgana. She will instinctively shield her ADC and get fucked herself. After doing this once or twice, you can change it up, still facing towards the ADC, but this time, you actually hook the ADC. And if she shields herself, the enemy ADC will mental boom and flame the enemy support. Extra points to you if it's a Draven player. You know, stay tilt more. If this doesn't work for you, you can still get a free hook before she gets the black shield back, as her E cooldown is 26 seconds, ranging down to 16 once maxed, while your Q is 10 seconds, ranging down to 8. Leona is another matchup where you rarely want to be engaging first, unless you manage to get a good catch on the enemy AD carry. Don't let her hit ult on both of you. If she engages on your ADC, you either engage on her or more likely on her AD carry. If she engages on you, you can force her deep into a spot that she does not wish to be in. Say she used her E on you, you can then E towards your tower, bringing her with you, charge up your hook, reel her in, and then she'll be miles away from ADC, possibly even under tower. They rarely expect this in Diamond or below, and I even find success with it, sometimes in Master. Camille is one of the few that can actually match your damage early on. She might even deal more damage than you, considering she has a passive shield that negates a lot of your damage for a short period of time. You've got to be careful playing against her. The trick is to wait for her to waste her E, because then she won't be as scary. In my experience, Camille also out-roams Pyke and there's not much you can do about it. You can try to keep up with the roams, or you can dive the shit out of her to carry. During lane, I would suggest staying in a bush, and when she inevitably engages on your ADC, you all in on her ADC. Just like the other hook champions, you can hide behind minions to be safe from Thresh's hook. If you want the skill check, you can try to take control of the bushes. Remember, his hook takes a second to launch and you can see the animation as it starts channeling. With this in mind, you might be able to dodge his hooks easier. But as a hook enjoyer, you know that he will predict your movements depending on his rank. So sometimes it will be smarter to not dodge, as he will predict your dodge and then miss, because you were walking a straight line. The thing that will annoy Thresh players the most is when you place wards on their lantern. This denies the enemies from clicking the lantern if you place the ward correctly, and you keep warding it until it is gone, completely denying Thresh's ability. A good Thresh player will try to cancel your E with his flay. The trick versus this is very often to stay in the awkward spot a little longer than you normally would. This will prompt him to expect your E and use his flay, and then you are free to E out. But in general, you never want to be put in this position in the first place. If he ever whiffs his Q, you can play a lot more aggressive and there's not much you can do about it. Over to Taric. We do not like Taric, mostly because of his nighttime activities with a specific dog. He actually deals more damage than you would expect, and his auto attacks lower the cooldowns of his abilities, so try not to let him auto attack too much. His stun is not too hard to avoid, either with the movement speed from your W or your E, or from hooking him onto a different angle. Also, if you use the bush, he will have a hard time doing anything to you. And you can also use Ignite early in the fight to inflict grievous wounds, negating some of his healing. Next up is Pantheon. I haven't really met a lot of Pantheon supports, but I've heard that it's a 50-50 matchup. You can E out of his W if you react fast enough. You'll still get stunned, but in a safer position, and he will also get stunned from your E. You should be aware of Pantheon's passive, which makes his ability stronger when he has a red bar below his HP. He will very often try to hit his Qs with his passive up, dealing extra damage. His E can actually block your execute despite him being red, which is fucked up. Sometimes it doesn't execute, while other times it does. I think it depends on which way his E is faced, so if you come from behind it should execute, but I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, he has a lot of damage, so be mindful and take control of the bushes. Against Neeko, you gotta start counting minions. You also can't be too close to your ADC, as everything in her kit is AoE. I honestly forgot how disgustingly unplayable this matchup could be when making the tier list, because this piece of shit literally just blocks every hook with her W, giving me some serious anger issues. Abusing the bushes will be very helpful for you in this matchup, just like every other matchup. You can easily focus her over the ADC, so it doesn't matter who you catch. If the ADC has a lot of mobility, it might be smarter to focus her. Remember to SS the moment she leaves, because she thrives in ganking lanes as a part of the minion wave. Karma is a bitch, and always has been. She pokes a lot, deals a great deal of damage, slows you, shields while granting a ton of movement speed, and can even snare you. Her poke can be avoided by standing behind minions, while not too close to them, as her Q is AoE. And once she has used her Q, you can try to get in a hook, as her Q is her main damage. It can be difficult to land hooks against Karma, as she can give herself and the ADC a ton of movement speed with her E, but you just gotta take into account the extra movement speed and try to predict a little faster while also holding a hook for longer, making them paranoid. Do people still play Tahm Kench? I don't know. Either way, he's on the list. He is quite tanky, deals some damage by licking you, got a big ass shield and can even regenerate HP. Oh, and I almost forgot, he can literally eat you, and he can eat his teammates. Very goofy concept, right? Try not to get licked, I guess. And never let him get 3 base attacks on you within a short amount of time, as his tongue will then stun you. It's also these 3 base attacks that allow him to eat you after level 6. You can cancel his W channel for like an entire second before he teleports somewhere else. And remember, Pyke's ult does not give a shit about shields, so his E can be quite useless post 6 if he isn't too aware. If Bard perma roams, you can try to match it or you can dive the enemy ADC. That's somewhat of a preference in playstyle. In lane, don't stand too close to walls, minions or your ADC to deny Bard his stun. It might also not be worth it to trade all the time, as Bard will have heals lying around. You'll have to make the judgment yourself. You also have to worry about Bard's ult, as he can remove your tower for a few seconds, making it very easy to dive you with the jungler. It ain't easy, but you can actually hook people out of Bard's tunnel, which is very funny. You can also ward in front of the tunnel, which can block it to some extent, but there are also ways to avoid that issue, however, not everyone knows that either. When it comes to Brand, you have to be very careful after getting hit by one ability, as he will try to stun you while you have the passive effect on you. You should also be aware of the BS interaction, where if he W's the wave and clicks E on it, it spreads towards everyone near it in a very wide area. When he ults, make sure not to let it bounce between you and your ADC more than it has to. But lore-wise, you nailed this guy. Just splash some water on him. Renata Glask. This matchup is actually AIDS. It's truly annoying that you can almost never ult anymore because of her decay ability. All you can do is wait it out and time it perfectly. But in lane, if you don't hook from the bush, you've got to be quick with releasing it, as Renata will cancel it very quickly. The only other thing you need to be mindful of is the fact that the enemy ADC will live for another 3 seconds-ish after you normally would have killed it. Once Swain wastes his E, you can always look to fight. That's your cue to go in. Make sure not to fight him inside his ultimate though, as he is omega strong in it. If no one is in his ult for a few seconds, it fades away, and then you can kill him. Xerath, just dodge lol? This matchup requires a lot of sidestepping. He is easy to kill once you catch him, but if he hits his E or W, he hits the rest as well. Playing in the bushes is again vital, but try to stand somewhere less obvious within the bush as to automatically dodge his skill shots. When playing versus enchanters or mage supports, you can very often focus them over the AD carry. Generally, I would just look for openings on either of them and commit on whoever walks up the closest. If the enemy support is too low HP to walk up safely, the ADC can't walk up either. If they do, then you punish them. Another cool trick I use against healing supports or the summoner spell heal is that I use Ignite early in a fight to inflict grievous wounds, which works wonders against healing. You should always check if they have Resolve in their runes during loading screen to find out if they have bomb plating or not, as this rune might throw you off. If they have this rune, you can hit one hook to make it on cooldown and then look for an opening when you get your Q back. Taking control of the bushes with a sweeper is key in any matchup. This saves you from being poked, which you cannot afford to be, and it allows you to take a pretty aggressive position without getting punished, while the enemies will permanently fear the bushes for the rest of the game and for the rest of their lives. Now, this matchup is so free and you'll rarely get to play it, as every Nami main permabans Pyke. But if you're lucky enough to play it, just don't get hit by bubbles. Your Q channel slows you down and a good Nami will use this time to bubble you, so be aware of that. There is absolutely no way that you do not get complete control over the bushes in this matchup, so abuse that. If they ward, clear it. They'll never have vision in lane and be permanently afraid of the bushes. If they ever walk up, you reel in that fish and have a sailor's feast. Her W also bounces between you and them like a brand ult, so try to avoid walking up when she uses it, either to deny them healing or to deny poke. Against Sona, you just don't let her poke you down and you're pretty much good to go for this matchup. You do this easily by using the bushes. You very often want to focus Sona over the ADC, as she has very low max HP and no mobility. And if she is dead, the enemy ADC can never walk up without you punishing them. The only other thing to mention is to not stack on your ADC after level 6, as her ult is quite effective. And she scales and becomes a great asset in late game, no matter how hard you stomp her. When playing against the Senna, you should try to avoid letting her Q and auto attack you, as that gives her salts. Because of her insane range and her click on target poke, you need to abuse the bushes, otherwise you will be chunked down a lot. I recommend using W to get up close to her and get off your Q, and E before her W potentially snares you. Versus Seraphine, I would recommend paying attention to her passive, as it is with her passive she can snare you and deal the most amount of damage. If you play around this, it's a pretty free matchup. Play around the bushes, look for openings to get a hook, poke them down, and then go in later. Time to do geometry homework, cause his Qs be hella annoying. I'm of course talking about the Velkas. It doesn't always help to be behind minions even, but sometimes it does. You gotta find out how good the Velkas is, to be honest. A safe bet will always be the bushes though, which you've got to be tired of hearing right about now, but that should really stick after this video. If you wasted his E, you're pretty safe to all in, depending on the situation. That is his core ability. Yumi. The most hated champion in the game, possibly. If this bitch ever pauses the movie on her second monitor and jumps off of her ADC, you throw that cat against the wall. You hook her so fucking fast, and you all in on her. If she doesn't jump out, then you gotta try to poke down the enemy AD carry. There's not much Yumi can do once you all in on her AD carry. It really depends on the AD carry's mobility more than anything else. And if you kill the enemy AD carry, she's literally just a bonus kill. Versus a Lux, you can't allow yourself to get hit by her Q. That will cost you dearly. You should have used the bushes, but her E covers the entire bush, so you have to be prepared to run out of it, to dodge her E, and then walk back in again. You can easily focus her down if she walks up too far, and if she wastes her Q, she has no CC to stop you from killing her or her ADC. Lulu is quite annoying to play versus at times. Her W cancels your hook channel and her E gives true sight, which fucks up your passive. On top of that, her ult can ruin your executes and the Q slow can be punishing. But she doesn't have much HP, so if she ever walks up where you can catch her, she'll get wrecked. You should try to go in after she wastes her W, as that is her only proper way to stop you. If you go in while she has her W, you're gonna have to W to reach her, and to release your Q as quickly as possible to avoid getting it cancelled by her polymorph. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if I forgot some stuff, so make sure to mention it in the comment section if you see anything that I missed. Don't forget to check out the Discord server where you can apply for coaching, chat with friends, share plays, share art, sometimes even play with me, as I arrange various Jackbox games, board games, and a few fun games like Oh Dear. And sometimes I even have the urge to play normal games like a sociopath where I invite people from the server. You can also follow me on Twitch to watch me completely ignore half of the shit I just taught you. But most importantly, if you haven't, please subscribe and check out my other videos. By doing this, you're making me one step closer to getting monetized. Thank you so much, you are the best. And I really hope to see you in the next one, whenever that'll be.